Mario Kart 8!
Hello, it's Tom, and yes, that's right, this is Mario Kart 8 on Nintendo Switch. This Deluxe edition enhances one of Wii U's very best titles, easily one of the best looking games on Nintendo's last machine. Technically, Switch pushes its native resolution from 720p on Wii U right up to 1080p while docked under a TV. The real party trick though is that Switch runs this as a pure handheld, making it the most technically demanding Mario Kart game to ever run on a portable. You get the full-fat Mario Kart 8 experience on the go here with no strings attached. Now, to be clear, visual settings stay the same as docked, and the only change in portable mode is that it renders at 720p, a pixel match for its display. Clearly though, expanding Mario Kart 8's features is the bigger focus here. Rather than radically retooling its visuals over the Wii U version, this Deluxe edition focuses mainly on bolstering the multiplayer aspect. Treat this more as a port of the Wii U original, but this time with all tracks unlocked including the DLC packs, plus a suite of highly requested new battle modes. It's the definitive edition, but let's be frank, if you're expecting a revelatory upgrade to the game's graphics over Wii U, you're in for a disappointment. Underneath the crisper 1080p output on Switch, the textures, character models, shadows, effects, and every other facet of the game's design are identical to how it was before. So the question is, are there any upgrades whatsoever besides resolution? Well, it turns out there is one. Much like Zelda Breath of the Wild on Switch, the push to a higher pixel count on Switch has an impact on texture filtering quality. On Switch you get the same bilinear filtering technique, with cascades running on the ground, but at least you can see moving from Wii U to Switch pushes those cascades out further. Compared to Wii U, you get a much clearer presentation of textures on Switch at tight angles, which is generally how the camera is directed. So that's a push to 1080p with improved texture filtering, but again, in line with most Nintendo releases, there's still no anti-aliasing in Mario Kart 8, the result being a sharp, clear image, but with pixel crawl and visual noise cropping up in places, even at 1080p. Compared to Wii U's 720p image, it's a vast improvement at least, but there's a sense Nintendo could have gone much further with this Switch version. Better anti-aliasing, texture filtering, or even more background detail could have sweetened the deal. Even so, there's at least another advantage to this Deluxe edition, and that's in frame rate. As you might remember, the Wii U version suffers from an unusual glitch in its frame output. 60 frames per second is the goal, but the effective result on Wii U is actually 59 FPS, with one frame being skipped every second. For most people, it passes by unnoticed, but if you're sensitive to frame skips at all, it does stick out on Mario Kart 8's fast corner turns. Thankfully, the Switch version completely fixes this glitch, and it runs at a completely faultless 60 FPS in single player. There's really no drawbacks here, and for those bothered by the issue before, the frame rate now matches the console's 60Hz refresh for a perfectly smooth ride. As an aside, the split screen multiplayer works just as it did before. 1 to 2 player split screen stays at 60 FPS on Switch, but pushing that to 3 or 4 players immediately caps the frame rate to 30. The logic works in the same way as Wii U too. If I slow this footage down to half speed, you'll notice the top 2 and then bottom 2 screens refresh in an alternating order, top first, then bottom. Now technically Switch still outputs at 60 FPS here, and the HUD elements like the map and icons update at 60 as well, but all gameplay is cut in half. For consistency, it's a shame we can't have all modes running at 60 FPS, even if it involved dropping the resolution from 1080p to achieve it. Back to the plus points then, and loading times are also improved on Switch. At least that goes for the cartridge-based version, which is the one we have access to right now. So to test, on the left side is the Wii U version running from disc, and on the right is Switch on cartridge. In each case, we're loading the Mario Kart Stadium from the main menu, where the end result gives us a saving of 6 seconds on Switch. 6 seconds is a decent lead, and it's a similar case for the other tracks we've tested, again loading first time from the menu. But let's see this another way. The Switch is a handheld console first and foremost, and as a successor to Mario Kart 7 on 3DS, released 6 years prior, the visual leap is far more incredible than any comparison to Wii U. We're taking Switch's docked image at 1080p here, but even at 720p the markup in visual quality is incredible compared to the 3DS's 400x240p image. Using retro tracks like DK Jungle and Melody Motorway, you can see how far Nintendo went to rework the level assets on Wii U and Switch. You of course get higher quality textures, higher precision lighting and materials, sharper resolution alpha effects, and revamped track geometry to support the anti-gravity driving. Background detail is also completely redesigned from scratch, and while the basic framework is clearly still the same, the delivery is vastly more refined on Switch. For anyone unsatisfied with the jump from Wii U to Switch, this is really what we should be looking at. The overlap in tracks is few and far between, but what's there makes you realise how far Nintendo's come in the handheld space. Again, it's worth emphasising the image on the right side is 1080p rather than the 720p you'll have in portable mode, but as a showcase of the core visual design possible on Switch, the step from 3DS is astounding. And I can confirm the frame rate is a rock solid 60fps while on the go as well, even with all racers at the starting grid. That's not to say the 3DS version struggles too much in performance anyway. With its lower 240p resolution and simplified character models, Nintendo kept the rendering load low enough to make 60fps possible in Mario Kart 7. It looked incredible in 2011, with little to complain about when it came to frame rate. One curious aside here though, the 3DS appears to drop a single frame every 355 frames. That's once every 6 seconds, making it even less noticeable than Wii U's 59fps glitch, and bearing in mind it's played on a much smaller screen, I hadn't realised until now. All of which compounds the Switch version as the ultimate Mario Kart package to date. You have no single frame stutter to speak of, the best image quality, and a wealth of content not available on any other version. We've seen the Mario Kart series go from strength to strength over the years, debuting with the Mode 7 rotate and scale effect on Super Nintendo, and later receiving a flagship release on every Nintendo console since. However, this makes Mario Kart 8 Deluxe an exception to the rule. It's the first time we've yet to get an exclusive Mario Kart game, tailor-made from scratch for a Nintendo machine. It's an amazing reprisal of the Wii U version for sure, but other Switch games like Fast RMX prove there's much more developers can do with the hardware. Perhaps we'll see a true successor to the franchise on Switch later on. For now though, and even with its minor technical improvements, Super Mario Kart 8 Deluxe represents a high watermark for the franchise. Anyway, that's all from me. If you found this three-way comparison interesting in any way, please feel free to like or subscribe to our channel to support the work we do. But until next time, thanks for watching.